Goddamn, I'm up 20 bands. Bless us once again.
Welcome back to the Aubservation. We are live at the top of Pub Key, the best Bitcoin bar in New York City. Come through, try the chopped cheese, tip your bartenders. Great show for you today. Today we have on the show Vik Sharma. He is the CEO of Cake Wallet, an open source self-custody wallet best known Monero and privacy forward Bitcoin features. Thank you for coming on the show today.
Thanks for having me on.
It's been a long time coming because I think I first met you back in 2021, right after COVID. So it's so fun to have you on the show finally.
Yeah, that's right. I think we met. I had a meetup in my office.
Haley Lennon, I think.
Yeah, we met through Haley Lennon.
Yeah.
That's right. And then I had a meetup at my office right after COVID, and you came, and that turned out to be fun. It was nice and intimate. It was great.
It's awesome. Yeah, that was right up by Central Park. Definitely.
Time flies.
It really does. It really does. As you know, we've been starting off the show by going through people's old tweets.
Uh-oh.
Are you ready?
What do you got? What'd you dig up?
Are you ready? Yeah. Our team has looked through your tweets, and we have a few. I'm so tired of this Bitcoin is not crypto crap. It's literally the first cryptocurrency.
I stand by that tweet. Yes. Sure. It's. I know people. I know what people are trying to do. They're trying to separate it from a lot of scam out there and a lot of useless tokens. I get it, but in the end, it's the definition of cryptocurrency.
I agree. People get really hung up on crypto, and even when President Now visited Pub Key, he said crypto, and people were like booing him when he came into Pub Key. It's like he got the general idea, guys. He got the general idea. Don't be afraid to ask questions. I refer to myself as the king of dumb questions.
Yeah, I stand by that as well. I mean, even within Cake Wallet, my job is to ask questions. I'm always asking questions of my developers, always asking questions to our users. What do they want? I like to learn, and I'm not afraid to show that I'm, ignorant on some issues, and I want to be educated. And I think it's good to ask questions.
Yeah, no ego here.
Yeah, no ego here.
All right. If you're planning on selling your Bitcoin because of the fiat gains, then you're not a Bitcoin maxi. You are a fiat maxi. Selling for needing to pay for things is, of course, understandable, but if you're just in it for speculation, then you're a fiat slave.
No regrets on that. Yeah, I agree with that because my end goal is not to have dollars. My end goal is to have Bitcoin. And I think, a lot of traders on Twitter, especially, that are talking about, sell at the high, sell it, buy at the low. Then you're in for the dollars, not for the Bitcoin.
That's very Sailor-esque of you.
Yes, but I was there before him. So
yeah, exactly. He came in. He was like that last wave. Yep. Okay. Hey, all. My wife and I made a tough, but we believe the right decision today. We are converting all of our ETH to Bitcoin. It's a tough decision because I was there when ETH launched on Coinbase at $4, and that's difficult to let go. It's been a great ride, but it's time. Ethereum, in my opinion, is something awesome that you get when you need it for gas, DeFi, RWA, NFTs, or whatever. I
stand by that as well. Although after that tweet a few months ago, I did buy some Ethereum. I did buy some back.
Did you?
Yeah.
Yeah. What is the date on that tweet? That was
last November or so.
That was November.
October, November. Yeah. So I think it was 0.035 or something like that. And then it went down to 0.027. Then I bought some back. And I think today it's like 0.04, or maybe I'm adding a zero, but something like that.
Yeah.
So yeah, I do agree with that. I mean, Bitcoin has a pure purpose of just medium of exchange or store of value. We can talk about that if you want. And so I do agree with that. I think Ethereum is great. I'm not knocking it. It's a solid blockchain, and a lot of legit projects are definitely on Ethereum. But yeah, I do view Ethereum as gas. When you need to make a transaction, you use it. But like I said, I did buy it back. So
no, you know what? Yeah. It's fine. I have not gotten rid of all my ETH just yet, so I can't even really say anything. I'm waiting for it to go see higher highs to get rid of all of it. So good for you. Why build Cake Wallet?
That's a good question. A wallet is the only way to access the blockchain, to access Bitcoin. It is part of the ecosystem, right? You want to send, receive, access your private keys. You do it through what's now called a wallet. Mm-hmm. And that's it. I mean, I wanted to get involved in something where you are directly dealing with Monero or Bitcoin, and not in a third-party custodial way. Because that's the main feature of Bitcoin, Monero, and other cryptocurrencies is self-custody. Mm-hmm. So I wanted to build a tool where users can store, send, and receive, and privately, which we can get into as well.
Yeah, you're a very privacy-focused person in terms of going with Bitcoin and Monero. A lot of people maybe new to Bitcoin might not understand that Bitcoin payments are not private, that you can see, I mean, if you're just using a regular wallet address, people can see your information there. And it's not quite what the promise of Bitcoin totally is in some of the ways that we always talk about Bitcoin being private, but it's kind of pseudo-private, right?
Right.
So what was your interest in going into privacy-focused coins?
Yeah, so I've talked about this, and I'm sure many people have heard this already, but in 2015, I tried buying something off the darknet markets, and it was antibiotics. It's for Sonali, my wife, we met. And, you know, I was new, you know, everything was new at that time. And I sent Bitcoin directly from my Coinbase address to a darknet address. And like within seconds, Coinbase canceled my account. And I got an email saying you violated blah, blah, blah terms and move your Bitcoin. So that kind of woke me up to, hey, wait a minute, how did they know where I'm sending this to? And it just kind of just revealed itself how transparent Bitcoin is. But at the same time, I discovered Monero on the darknet markets. And there were a lot of popular coins back then, including Ethereum, Litecoin. And I wondered, why not these coins on the darknet market? Why Monero? And so I went down the same rabbit hole I went down to with Bitcoin in 2013, then happened with Monero in 15, 16, something like that. And then right after that, I became more of a privacy advocate because you can spend your cash today. I can walk down the street here and give somebody $100. Nobody needs to know. Nobody needs to see nobody can and nobody needs to see the balance of my wallet. Whereas with Bitcoin, unfortunately, you can.
Yeah, and that's a little bit of a flaw, but you have figured out a way, and many people have figured out a way to use, silent payments. Talk about silent payments for the Bitcoiners that may not be aware. I mean, there's a lot of different ways where you can obscure transactions like mixers and things like that. Talk about silent payments and how Cake Wallet's offering that.
Sure. So silent payments, I mean, you always hear in the Bitcoin world, don't reuse an address, right? And the reason everybody says that is because if you give the same address to everybody, they can see your activity, they can see your activity and keep going backwards, which is, chain analysis. So silent payment is it's a convenience feature more than anything. So rather than you having to generate a new address every time you want to receive Bitcoin, you just have this one silent payment address and you give that to everybody. And now anytime they use your silent payment address, a new on-chain address is generated for you. So now everything is separate, right? If you send Bob and Alice your silent payment address, they're both going to generate a new address for you. And when they use it again, yet a new address is generated for you. So every time it's used, a new address is generated. So it's good for things like donations. If you have a website or an app or something and you're getting donations, you just have to put that one silent payment address. Like what happened with the Canadian truckers, that's always an example, right? So people were able to see who's donating, how much they're getting donated. So with silent payment address, you eliminate that risk. So it was a very... It was a new feature, wasn't even like fully launched yet. And we said, okay, we need to jump on this right away. And we were the first wallet. I think right now we're still the only wallet that does both send and receive. I think some like Blue Wallet does send but not receive, because receive is a little complicated. You have to scan since your last transaction, and it kind of delays the experience of using a wallet. But not on Android. On Android, we have background sync, so it's always syncing. So
would you compare it to something like an email address? Like if you had more of like an email address and you're giving the one address, or does it feel more complex for people in that way? Like because people already have a barrier to entry, right? With payments, with that one address, or do you feel like I'm trying to think of what's the best analogy to compare it to.
So it's still a complicated, very long address. It's still intimidating, but it just starts with SP for silent payments. It's BIP 352. It's not something we invented on our own. It's through
and it works through the Taproot activation.
Yeah, exactly. So I wouldn't compare it to email. I mean, although we did come up with something called BirdPay. I don't know if you've seen that.
I have.
Oh, okay. Yeah. So you can put your silent payment address in your Twitter bio or pinned tweet. And then you just have to give somebody your Twitter address, your Twitter handle. So like mine's Vikrant NYC. So I can just give that to somebody and it'll pull my silent payment address. So we're trying to make it easier.
Yeah. I mean, there were a few years ago with X, there was a, Bitcoin address integration where you can send payments.
Yeah.
Now, I haven't gotten a lot of payments sent through my way, but if people want to send, feel free to. I should have put a brand new wallet for that. And it feels
put one in your pin tweet. We'll do a demo.
Yeah. It is funny because you think that people want to be spending their Bitcoin and, to your tweet earlier, I guess you're a fiat maxi if you do, but
no, I mean spending's fine.
Yeah, spending's cashing
fine.
out to fiat,
yeah, but just gaining,
different.
That's different. Yeah.
But
I think you should spend Bitcoin. I think it needs to be used as a medium of exchange. You should have pulled up that tweet. I got killed. I said Bitcoin should be used, and so many people are like, "Just hodl, bro."
But they're never happy when you use it. They're upset if you don't use it. It's like, well, it can't die. We need to give miners fees. Like, what's wrong with spending your Bitcoin?
Exactly. And I think the fact that somebody's willing to give you goods and services or fiat for your Bitcoin, that's what gives it value. Right?
Exactly.
The guy who spent $50,000 for pizzas, great that happened. Somebody was willing to give you pizza. That's the value.
We needed it to work. Yeah.
Exactly.
And now he's hailed as a hero. So it's like, pick a side and pick a lane.
This episode of The Aubservation is brought to you by Cake Wallet, the non-custodial crypto wallet that puts you in control. In a world where crypto can feel complicated and intimidating, Cake Wallet makes managing your digital assets simple, secure, and stress-free. You can easily store, send, receive, and swap Bitcoin, Monero, and more. Cake Wallet is built for anyone who values privacy, convenience, and control in their crypto journey. Ready to take charge? Download Cake Wallet on the Apple Store or Google Play.
But back to privacy, we got a little bit off of privacy. With the Tornado Cash situation and the US government kind of having like a mixed bag of how they've dealt with the industry as a whole, for the SEC, and how we've gone after certain projects. What is that precedent that's set for you as a builder in the privacy space? Are you worried about that? How do you see that for yourself?
Yeah, so I think you're 100% correct. The enforcement has been inconsistent. I'm on the side of Tornado Cash and Samurai Wallet and all the other guys who've gotten into trouble. Does it worry us? I guess the regulation laws could be twisted or interpreted a way that they can go after anybody. But I guess, what they were doing was kind of different than what we're doing. They were running centralized or servers. And Tornado Cash, I'm not that familiar with, but so maybe that was an issue, or they were profiting off of it. That's an issue. What we're doing is more on the protocol level, which could be different. But hey, you never know. Well, it worries me.
I guess that's the question. What's that red line between code and facilitating a service, in your opinion? Do you feel like there is one?
It's definitely a gray area. And, if you apply it in one place, like I said, then how do you apply it into, another application? And that's where you get into the gray area. So it's difficult. The government definitely needs to be more clear on what is allowed and what is not allowed. So.
Do you have advice for people who are builders that want to be building the privacy side that are coming in? Is there advice you would give them in their approach?
I don't want somebody to say, "Hey, I heard Vik say this." So.
This will be in your court proceedings.
Yeah, exactly. I would say go with your gut. Build. Something is not clear. That's not your fault. Build what you got to build and deal with the ramifications later. Ask for forgiveness later.
Exactly. That's how a lot of people were operating, not only with this situation with Tornado Cash, but with the SEC going after every single company and basically, investigating them and drying them out legally through how much that cost.
Gensler was going after everybody. Coinbase, Gemini, Kraken, you name it. For something they approved.
The only person that made anything good out of that was the lawyers, for sure. Yeah. Like sitting up. Speaking a little bit more, though, about the privacy side of things, and there's been some delistings in Europe on Kraken and Binance for Monero, and I'm wondering if that's sort of because of the nervousness around privacy payments. Does that harm users? Does that accelerate self-custody? How do you sort of feel about that situation in Europe?
Yeah, it's funny. The Monero community welcomes it. They like it. They don't think Monero should be on exchanges, centralized exchanges. They think it should only be on decentralized platforms, which more and more are coming up for Monero. It hurts users definitely in the short term because how do you access it? The DEXs aren't fully built out yet. There's what Havino that came out, or Havino Rito Swap. That's a decentralized exchange. In the long run, I think that's what the community wants. They don't want Monero coming from a KYC'd. That's the truth of it.
Yeah.
They think for it to be a truly private coin, it can't be attached to real world identity. Ideally, that's the situation, but we do live in the real world.
Yeah. And I guess on that note, with having the audience that you do and the customer base that you do, being mindful of their data is a huge thing. It's also very difficult for anyone who runs a business, at least on the marketing side, to have an awareness of who your customer is, right? Because you're not really able to scrape as much data as, say, a big tech giant like Meta, for example. What has been your approach to that, in terms of figuring out who your audience is and understanding marketing?
Yeah, so it's a good question. As far as how we can tell who our users are, is the data given to us by the app stores, Apple App Store and Google Play Store. The only thing we can see is how many were downloaded and what regions were downloaded. That's it. That's the only information we have on the user side. On the activity side, we do use third-party exchanges like MoonPay or ChangeNow or Exelix. They can definitely tell us what was traded or what was swapped or what was bought, what was sold, but not who did it. So those are the only two ways where we can collect any sort of data on what our users are, which is basically what's their region and what activity they conducted. That's it.
That must be tough, but I guess it works for you guys. I mean, it works for most of these companies.
But our users want that, right? I mean, I think that's why we've been successful in this space, is because they know we're not scraping or collecting data. I mean, when you go to download our app on both iOS and Google, it says, where it shows you what this app collects, and ours is nothing. This app collects nothing.
It's amazing. It's amazing. Especially for the people who are like very cyberpunk, they really want that.
Make Bitcoin's cyberpunk again.
Yes. You've noted in some of your interviews that some users have requested a paranoid mode feature. Would you ship a paranoid mode feature?
Definitely. Yeah. We've been talking about it for a while and we keep putting it aside. It's just basically a panic mode. I think a lot of apps have that, especially private chat apps have that, where you put in a code and everything will be deleted. So yeah, that's on our roadmap.
Is it on the road? We'll see with how the current. I guess they've kind of backed off in a way. Like the SEC, they're like kind of hands off right now as the way they're approaching companies in this new administration. So we'll see.
Yeah. I mean, so many cases were just dropped. Right,
everything's dropped. So I don't know. Maybe everything's okay. So let's talk a little bit about Lightning payments, but private. Do you what are your thoughts on that? Lightning is maybe the only L2 in the space that people are really excited about. And it has gotten some significant adoption, but I don't think it's fully scaled like Lightning as itself. A lot of people use Lightning. What are your thoughts?
Yeah, I mean, we're bringing Lightning to Cake Wallet. We're working with the Breeze team to bring Spark. We're going to use a Spark implementation, so we're pretty excited about that. I mean, Lightning definitely gives you some level of privacy over just doing L1 transactions. Maybe not as private as Monero or some other privacy coins, but we see it as an important tool. If we, for example, I really want Bitcoin to be used as payments, as on the go, as you use Apple Pay, for example. I want Bitcoin to be used like that. So Lightning plays an important part in that.
Yeah. So, I mean, it was a huge part when I did the film out in South Africa for Like a Feeling. I mean, that Lightning was everything they were using. And we have Lightning payments down here at PubKey. Excited to see more in-time adoption of like coffees and things like that.
And it's the number one feature that's requested by our users.
Oh, really? Yeah. Well, it took a while for Coinbase to even catch on. I remember they were kind of very like slow on the Bitcoin development for a while, but now they've finally brought somebody in, and it's nice to see. Felt like it was almost just like a group project activity for Bitcoiners, and now you're seeing like a little bit more traction for Lightning.
And regulation, right? I mean, right before this administration got elected, some wallets had pulled out of Lightning wallets had pulled out of the U.S. because of the whole custodial nature, or again, gray area, right? Even though you have your own keys, is it really yours? So I'm glad to see that those wallets are coming back in, and there should be more Lightning wallets.
Yeah.
Including Cake Wallet.
Yeah, exactly. So let's talk about the roadmap. What's on the roadmap for Cake Wallet in the next few months to next year, if you can talk about it?
Yeah, sure. So Lightning, which we already said, hopefully we should have that out in the next 2-3 months. I'm very excited about it. We're going to have more hardware wallet support. So we already support Ledger. I think we're the only wallet besides Ledger Live that supports Ledger over Bluetooth. And we're the only wallet that has Monero over Bluetooth.
Cool.
So it works over iPhone. By the way, the Ledger team was great. When we realized they didn't have Bluetooth turned on for Monero, they were very, very cooperative and accommodating. So
Amazing. They're a great team. I love working with them.
They were able to do that. So we'll add Treasure, we'll add Bitbox.
Cool.
We added Cupcake. I don't know if you've seen that. So we have a air-gapped wallet, which is a companion app to Cake Wallet called Cupcake, where it works through QR codes, live
Very
QR
cool.
codes. So the reason we did that is because a lot of people don't want to buy, and I'm not knocking Ledger, right? I mean, companies get hacked into, they lose data.
Yeah.
So a lot of people are turned off by actual having a record somewhere that they bought a hardware wallet. And some countries, crypto is still banned, so you can't even buy a hardware wallet. So Cupcake's great. If you have an old phone laying around at home, you just download Cupcake, and your seed and your private keys live on that, not on Cake Wallet, and you use that as your signing device.
Oh, that's super cool.
So you download Cupcake and you kill all connections. You kill Wi-Fi, Bluetooth, cellular, and you have a nice little hardware wallet.
Wow. That's honestly very genius.
Yes, we support that for Bitcoin and Monero.
So it could be any old iPhone, anything that you have at your
Android.
house, and Android, and you can just use it as your device and go. That feels like such a solution for so many people, especially in countries that don't allow them, or if you're in a war-torn country, you never know of like what would be going on, or if your government would seize. But everyone has an iPhone laying around, or an Android.
Yeah. Everyone has some
sort of old phone. I mean,
exactly.
that's so exciting. Well, congrats on all of that. Thanks. I wanted to get a few takes before we wrap on your thoughts on the DATs. So it's like the new thing in the cycle. There's like a DAT launching every single day. Do you feel like there's is this here to stay? Is it going to fade out? What do you think? I mean, you have the big ones like Strategy and Semler. What's your thoughts?
I mean, I'm probably biased. I think they're here to stay. At first, I was against it. I thought it's not good, so much Bitcoin in the hands of so many people. And then in Bitcoin Asia last week, I was talking to, forget his name, the second guy in Metaplanet, not Simon, but anyway. And he said something interesting. He said, sure, maybe the ownership is getting regulated or being bought by, but the protocol level, that's still decentralized and nobody can still control that. So I thought that was...
It's true. I do think there's like big whales in the space. There's concentrations and pools of just money, and that can move markets, right? That can shift a lot. It is interesting. I just thought as where we were last cycle, I didn't really see that this would be the next big thing.
Yeah, I didn't either.
In some ways I like it, but then in some ways it feels a little like ICO-ish, like everyone's launching one, And
I'm looking at launching one, by the way.
I feel, but I'm very neutral to it. It's like, I don't know if it's a overall positive. It's so early to see how it shakes out,
I guess it's positive in a way that it validates Bitcoin, right?
Yeah.
That people really do see it as a store of value. As you had with gold before, gold ETFs and gold treasury companies. Now you have Bitcoin treasury companies. So it's validation for sure.
Yeah. I want to get your takes on price. We've been in a weird place with Bitcoin since last year, actually. Last November, coming up on a year, was when we really just took off. A lot of that was people were excited about a new administration. It definitely spiked after the election. And then we've been kind of trending. I think it's like 112 today. Do you think we hit like 150 end of the year? Do you feel like we're going to go through another little correction in the fall?
Story time.
Let's hear it.
I guess a few months back, Anthony Pompliano had a Bitcoin Investor Week. Yeah. And he had a small dinner. Jack Mallers was there and some other people. And Scarmooch, the Mooch.
The Mooch.
And Anthony asked a question, how many people think Bitcoin will go to $1 million in 5 years? Almost everyone raised their hand. And he said, how many people here think Bitcoin is going to go to $1 million in 3 years? I was the only one that
Wow.
raised my hand.
Conviction
So,
here.
yeah.
Conviction here, Vik.
So, yeah, I think we could see $1 million in 3 years. I guess for this year, the consensus seems to be over 200,000. Let's see. I'm still
by
hoping.
end of year 2025?
Yeah.
I mean, I would love to see it. I think if that happens, then the DATs definitely take off and there's
Yeah.
just no stopping Bitcoin.
Exactly.
I haven't felt like we've had a real strong run up. We've had some, I mean, obviously we've doubled the price within a year. That's fantastic. But I don't feel like I'm getting calls from my grandma and like the kind of frenzy that we felt before. I don't know if that's a correction of, people just having a little bit of distrust towards the industry with a lot of the implosions from the last cycle and people are still hurt. Like it almost feels like, do we need to hit higher highs to really get retail back in that way?
Yeah. I think people have PTSD from the last cycle. I mean, going from 67 down to 16. I mean, that was that's why right now, even when you see like a 1% drop, there's like doomsday on Twitter X. It's like, we're done.
I know.
We're finished.
I'm like, these people haven't lived through the cycles and the trenches. So it'd be like my third or fourth cycle. I mean, at this point, I don't know. It's just going to go on forever. But anyway, I appreciate the conversation. Thank you so much for coming on. Where can people find you on Twitter?
You can find me at Vikrant NYC, Vikrant NYC, or Cake Wallet, which is at Cake Wallet. And then we also have at Cake. I think we need to use that account more often.
The new Cake logo, though, looking so good.
Oh, good.
I love the new design. I don't know if people have checked it out.
Great,
I need like some Cake Wallet merch or something to rep because I think it looks very good.
That's our thing. We give away so many jackets. That's our thing.
Jackets?
Yeah, I'll bring you one.
I need a jacket. Okay, I'll wear it on the next episode. All right, Vik, thank you so much for coming on, and we'll be back next time.
Thanks so much.